Okay, so I'm here with Martin McNulty. He competed last night to bring himself to 5-2. He's an Irishman in France. So congratulations on the victory. And how do you feel? Obviously, we'll go into your background, but how do you feel, obviously, with the performance last night and getting the win?
Well, see, the thing is, obviously, getting the win is phenomenal, especially after going 4-0 and then going on a two-fight skid, which kind of seemed unfair. The like say for example, the first loss I had, they scored it a draw, and on the fly, what they did was they added an extra round, which wasn't on the contract. Then the second loss was like 50-50, fair and square against a guy by the name of Zubair Bouarsa, who's a luta livre black belt, hailing out of Paris. So that was all right. And then I think we just took a gamble, with last night's opponent, because the thing is he hadn't fought since 2017 because he had like some management issues and whatnot and things like that, injuries and all of these things ruling them out. So it was hard to come with a game plan. So we had to improvise really. So I didn't take any risks because I knew he was a wrestler and this and that. So I just opted to strike with him. And so, but I'm very unhappy with the performance. Happy to get the win after all this adversity, but the performance in of itself is not good enough. It's not up to my standards. That's what I will say.
Okay, fair enough. And like that, obviously, you went like that on the winning streak to losing streak. But when you say you get an opponent like that, like I said, he hadn't fought since 2017.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect, do you? Because you've probably seen yourself how much you improve fight on fight in the training room. So he could have been a completely different fighter than
Yeah.
his last fight, which so fair play to you, and it's hard to prepare for someone like that. But what that's because I had seen, obviously there was another guy from Ireland fighting last night, Jenderson Castro, and that's
Yes.
how I was looking at the card, and I came across yourself, and I was wondering how did you end up in France, and what's the background story there?
Well, um, well, I was born here actually. You see, I'm
Okay.
French as well. I'm both Irish and French, so I'm fluent in French and in English, and I've always lived here. But obviously, you couldn't tell with the accent because my dad always spoke to me in English, and I go to Ireland very often. Fun fact: like Tuesday, I'm going back home. I'm going to Port see the family again, and that's what I've been doing my whole life, pretty much going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I actually did school in Ireland for a year, so that's that explains that. You know.
Okay, Port is not. It's only down the road from me. I'm in Newbridge, which is just it's about half an
All
hour
right.
away or so.
Good.
So yeah, no, because obviously you said you were born in France, but that's not really a French accent. I've watched some. Obviously, I didn't watch all your interviews, but I looked through some of your interviews. Obviously, you're speaking in French, so I was like, fuck me, you can speak
Yes.
fairly good. But now that makes a lot more sense. But with the MMA game, it only became kind of legal or kind of like that. It could be done from 2020, I believe it was. So, what,
Yes.
what led you into martial arts if it wasn't a sport that was looked on in the best sort of a light within the country?
Well, you see, I never really asked myself the question of whether it was legal or not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fighting is fighting, and it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter who you are. It's like it's something that every country does, that every culture does. I feel, and what got me into it, I feel, is for example, with the soccer, wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going to make it as a professional footballer, so I was like, you know what, I'm still going to use all of that energy I put into all these extra training, all this extra practice. I didn't want it to go to waste. So I had to give up one dream you know, to pursue another, pretty much. To pursue a new one. So that was started off with like kickboxing. I just walked into a kickboxing gym because I was getting, I wanted to know how to defend myself. I didn't want to get picked on anymore, pretty much, and because I'm a pretty small guy, you see, so and I didn't want anyone to mess with me anymore, or at least walk with a certain air of confidence that nobody would go near me. So that was that, and I got into kickboxing, full contact kickboxing. Got addicted to it. Started training at a high intensity in there, and then I found out there was an MMA gym in my hometown, and that's the one I'm at right now. and I'm training, every day, several times a day, all the time. That's my life pretty much.
That's good. I like that with the soccer. I think a lot of people when they're growing up, I know myself, I want to be a soccer player, but you realize that there's going to be not that there's very few that make it, but it's I don't know. I never would have made it anyways. But with the MMA, when you went into the MMA, can you see it growing now? Obviously, because it's been legalized, because obviously they had the shows there, and with the likes of Cyril Gane and stuff, can you see like people being drawn towards it more now? With there more people coming into the gyms because of it, or was there always the people there?
I mean, there was always that hardcore base, I mean, you see the old heads at the gym, for example, the lads that have been there since the early 2000s, you see. And so there's this part, and obviously there's going to be a newer range of people, and you can even see it by the different types of people that walk into the gym. They come from literally every background, and it doesn't matter your religion, your age, your culture, your gender or any of that. Like you in France, it's such a melting pot, and you can see it with like all the different standouts coming out of France. Like you got Benoit Saint Denis, who would represent, like you know an old school Frenchman, who's really into the military, who's you got Manon Fiorot, who could represent, the women who would want to get into MMA. Cyril Gane, comes from a place called La Roche-sur-Yon, which is, it's not a big city, and still he manages to make it out of there. And then you got the lads from Aubervilliers, which is, a bit more of an urban area. So you got what's his face, the guy from KSW, Saladin Parnasse, you know. Then you got the flashier types like Cedric Doumbé doing well. The more stoic types like Baysangur Chamsudinov. All these lads, Morgan Charrier, flashy guy. You got different inspirations that are gonna inspire different kinds of people, but the common denominator is MMA. All these people are going to be drawn into MMA. So you got all these types of personalities, all these types of backgrounds that are just going to be drawn into that sport, and that's what makes it so big. Is the different kind of people, the different kind of ways you can make it in this sport. There's more than one way to skin the cat. Like,
Yeah, no,
pretty
and I
much.
love that saying for one. Yeah, no, it is. Like you said, you've got different personalities, different fighting styles that people will be drawn to or aspire to. And like you said, it could be regionally. From someone from a tough urban area might look at someone who's made it out of a tough urban area and then follow their dream.
Yes.
But yeah, with the fight so far, I noticed on your Tapology, and now because that's why I'm asking you, because I realized something was wrong on your Tapology with the triangle choke. But did you have
Yeah, not to
any
worry.
amateur bouts, or did you just go straight into the pro ranks?
Straight into the pro ranks. Well, it was kind of a weird one. Like my first fight was an organization called the KOC in Cognac, and it was a professional rule set, but I didn't get paid nothing. But the stipulation would still be like it would be marked on your professional record. So the only thing you got out of it was the glory of a professional fight. So I'm happy to have it now because obviously it adds a win to my to my record. So that's, I can't complain. But I never had amateur bouts, like, ever. The only amateur stuff I've ever done in combat sports where you're really hitting the bloke is in kickboxing. I had like 4 amateur kickboxing fights, 3 wins, 1 loss, and that was that. And then I just kept training MMA, and eventually my coach was like, would you like to fight on this event? And I was like, yeah, I've been working towards it for so long. I've been working so hard. Let's get it. And so then I got the triangle choke in the second round after a lot of top control, a lot of top heavy control, and then it just went on from there.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
that.
that's that's good. And when you went on that streak then of the 4, what was that feeling like? Obviously winning and then winning again and winning and like constantly winning and getting the finish as well. I'd say you felt on top of the world. Like, what's that? when you're always putting your opponent away? What's it like, that feeling, or did it just feel natural to you because of the training and hard work you'd put in?
It's a good question. It's like obviously when you got that it would do something to you. I'd say like obviously it's like it's more like you got something to protect more than anything. That's the problem. I feel it feels like you've got something to protect, which um which isn't that good to be honest. I feel so. Um, and even then, when I was going on that run, it was fight after fight after fight. It's like different lads, different styles. It's like every day is a new day, every fight is a new fight, and that's the way I always approached it. And sometimes we would go into a fight thinking this one's going to be a step up, and I'd pass with flying colors. For example, like the fourth win, after the fight, my coach was like, "Damn, I thought that was going to be. I thought you were going to get tested in that fight, and I didn't really. I mean, he had good defense, but eventually I found a hole and just got his back and choked him out. Um, and and then in the fifth fight, it was same old. Take him down, dominant position, and then you get caught, and it's a 10-8 round to him, and then it's a draw match, and then they add the extra round because you know it's they're in Belgium, a Belgian fighter, so it's like it is what it is, and I want to fight that guy again, but you know the thing you'll come to realize is MMA a lot of the times it's one and done, unfortunately. So you can't be chasing cars. You have to move along, like that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, and that's what I want to talk about. Obviously, that fight where they done the extra round. Obviously, that's my next question was going to be, how did it feel? Obviously, to lose your own because you want to protect it, but it's more so in the manner that you lost it that I'd be more pissed off with. Like, if it's not in the contract, it's a draw should be a draw. You see them happen at loads of different promotions. You see them happen everywhere. Like, what was your coach's reaction and your reaction when they said we're going into like a final round? Like, what was kind of going on there?
A bit of a shock, to be honest. I mean, we were like, first of all, we were shocked not to get the decision. You see, because out of 15 minutes of fight time, obviously there was chaos that I had to survive for maybe a minute and a half, which was and that minute and a half was significant, mind you. Of course, just you can't take that away. That was significant as hell. But out of 15 minutes, 1 minute and a half, really, Um, but then it was, and then it's just the extra round is just like we were like to hell with it, let's go because for the simple reason there was a belt on the line, there was a belt on the line, the inaugural flyweight title. So we're like, right, let's we didn't come here for nothing, we're gonna come here and try and take that from this guy, from this organization, and and I feel like we've been hard done. Not only that, but it's just that then you go to the hospital. Then I asked to go to the hospital just to get checked up, and I find myself with a €400 bill, you know, and I get fined for not paying it. But it's not mine to pay, just and it's just such a snowball effect that I don't need that drama in my life, it's crazy,
Fuck, I
but
won't be going. I wouldn't be advising anyone
yeah.
to go to Belgium then and fight for a title and potentially get hurt there. If that's the case, it doesn't sound like an overall good experience for a fighter. But it's one of those things. Not stuff like that kind of happens in the game. But
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
obviously you lost your next one, then, but then you've talked about
That
how
was
like obviously it was good to get the win. You weren't happy with performance, but ultimately getting back on the winning track was the main thing. You said something that
yeah.
interested me about protecting the zero, protecting the O. Do you find a lot of people fall into that trap as well and can make people compete a lot safer maybe than they would and take more risks or maybe go for stuff that they should have? Did you find that? Well, obviously it wasn't happening to you because you were dominating and you were finishing, but was that always in your mind that you had that O and you didn't want to lose it?
Well, it's always in my mind that I don't want to lose. I don't want to let my people down because I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let my family down. And, whoever. That's the mindset. Most of us go in. go into the octagon with. Um, Maybe a no adds to that, but I wouldn't know about that anymore because it no longer concerns me in a sense. So, to answer your question, I'd have to go back in time to see myself as a less accomplished fighter. A 20-year-old less accomplished fighter than I am now. I'd much rather be me, as I am right now than who I was beforehand. Because in between time, okay, fair enough. I lost two fights, but that doesn't take away all the hours I put into the gym. It doesn't take away all the things I learned. It doesn't take away, the hardships I had to get through, and that's that's me. That's my life right now. That's my career. I got a win right now, and we're gonna try and build off of that. So last time I had a 4-fight win streak. Let's go beyond that. That's the plan.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Obviously, even with the losses, the hours put in, the growth, the learnings from the losses, the controversy and all that sort of stuff has helped add to you as a fighter and as a person. And like you said,
Yeah.
that's led you to where you are today. But what's next for you? Do you have anything in the pipeline, or do you like to just take some time after a fight, or do you go straight into looking for another fight?
The thing is, I regardless, I never stop. Like I always train. I always do something. Like even right now, it's it's 10 to 11 where I'm at, and I'm gonna get a workout done before the day is done. I spent all day just relaxing and everything, but I'm gonna get something done before the day is through. That's my mentality. And of course, I'm looking to be active because before, as I was fighting professionally, I was studying at the same time. And that last fight was the first time I only focused on fighting, where I didn't have a job to worry about, where I didn't have, um, you know, assignments to worry about, college to worry about, all that stuff. Um, the only It's a shame the performance didn't really reflect that, but still the preparation was good, the weight cut was good, everything was good, and now I'm looking to get active. That's my main thing, and it might seem crazy to you, but I just turned 22 like a couple of days ago, and I set out a plan. I set out a list of me wanting to, just to get after it, and I want 12 fights by the time I'm 25. I won 12 fights before I'm 25, and I'm coming to win those 12. That's there's no other way to go about it. It's either you get that mentality or you forget about it.
Yeah, no, and I like the mentality. Even after you win today, like I said, it's 10 to 11. You still want to get something done today, so you're still going
Yeah,
to get a workout done tonight. And in terms of
absolutely.
plan, it's good to have a plan because a lot of people want to go from destination A to B, and they don't seem to have the things worked out in between. Whereas obviously you said you want to have this amount of fights. In regards
Yes.
to getting those fights, how many promotions is there in France at the minute? Obviously, because I'd say it's opening more back up and there's more popping up. Is there many promotions in France uh, as options for you?
As options, well, obviously the Kongs FC did a pretty good job at hosting the event. Um, MMA GP, I fought for them, and I'm under contract with Hexagon right now. There was a bit of a mix up, unfortunately, where I see in my last semester in college, I was supposed to fight in the Hexagon, and then I had to cancel the bout in advance because my visa my student visa had just, you know I just received it, and I had to leave in order not to miss any classes and not to worry about anything. So I was under contract with the Hexagon MMA organization, and then that fight just falls apart. So we just assume that's that. We'll leave it at that. And then next thing you know, a few months later, I signed I signed a fight deal with the MMA GP, which is another famous organization in France. 3-fight deal, and then Hexagon come knocking at the door like, well, you already signed a 3-fight deal with us, so we were in a bit of a mix up with them But it's not that big of an issue, you know. If anything, I'll tell you what, I'll just fight 3 times for them and 3 times for the others. I have no qualms about that because that's what I do, you know. I'll just fight 6 times and beyond because that's that's the life I decided to choose,
Well,
and
there's
I'm ready.
60 or 12 fights already that you want to get through in the next couple of
There
years.
you go. There you go.
And
That's the way I see it. You know, it's like there's no drama. Just those fights are going to be carried out anyways.
yeah, no, and Hexagon, I know there's actually a commentator from Ireland, Phil Campbell, who actually commentates on that. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of him on it. Um,
No, I don't really watch these those promotions. You know, I just wait for them to give me fights. To be honest,
yeah, you want the
that's what
people
I'm really
watching you. You're just concentrating on doing you rather than watching others.
into.
Um,
I just want to fight, like that's all. You know, really.
yeah, and that's good though, because you get a lot of people who want to do this and they want to do that, but you like the way you seem to approach seems like just fighting is your life, and that's what you want to do, and that's what you want to continue doing.
Well, it's not my life. You know, there's more to life than fighting,
Yeah.
but but you know, it's like it's only a 10-year deal. You know, and I'm in it right now, so you know, you might as well go all the way. It's like, you know, I already sacrificed a dream, as I previously mentioned in the interview, you know, and it would be really really heartbreaking for me to go through that again, you know, especially with how far I've come. So, you know, I'm a professional athlete now, and that's something I can't take for granted. And it's like I'm 22, 5-2. I mean, I wish I was 7-0, but who cares? You know, it's like that's it. That's who we are right now. You know, and you take inspiration from guys you know, who've bounced back from losses. You see a guy like, I don't know, like Robert Whitaker is like, he's the absolute man. Your Robert Whitakers, you know, even George St. Pierre had to go through that. Demetrius Johnson had to go through that. Volkanovski is going through it right now, and you know, and all of these guys, they're my favorites. They're the lads that I look up at. I look up to the reliable fighters, the fighters where you know they're going to put on a performance, even if they get you know, even if they get dominated in certain aspects in the fight. You know, they're always going to find a way to pull through and you know show who they are. You know, whether win, lose or draw. And that's what I'm looking to. That's who I want to look like. Those types of fighters.
And the fighters you named out there are unbelievable. Robert Whitaker is probably one of my favorites. He's an all round good guy, and he's
Yeah,
been to adversity. He fought Yoel Romero twice when no one wanted to fight
I
him.
I watched those 10 rounds like during last week's fight week, and to be like, if he can do that, and it's also like his fighting style. I take a lot of inspiration from it. So it's like if I go up against like a bigger guy, bigger tougher guy, and you know being more nimble, this and that. That's and you add to that the sheer will that he has is just mind blowing. It's truly inspirational. And I watched those 10 rounds. You know that helped. That gave me a massive lift. You know, in preparation.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like your style. I like your enthusiasm as well, and I wanting to just get it going because, like you said, it's a 10-year deal. You're not gonna have like you said, you could get to the end of it and go, I wish I could have done more, but obviously it sounds like you want to do as much as you possibly can while you can, because like I said, it is a short career. But I
It
gotta let
is.
you go. It's been fascinating to talk to you. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'll be keeping an eye on your journey from now on. Before you go,
I
is there anything you
guess.
want to say or anyone you want to shout out?
Um. Well, it would be tough not to shout out my coaches, my teammates, and the friends, the family, and all these people. Because at the end of the day, it's a very lonely sport. But without without that entourage, at the end of the day, you're nothing. And it's that simple. Like without the lad to hold your pads, without lad to give you that little bit of advice. It could be your friend giving you a bit of life advice. On when to you know when you need to kick up the arse or when you need to cool the jets. It's good to have people to talk to and to rely on. And that's who I try to be. I try to be somebody who you can rely on as well. And and then then it's like there's a certain equality to it, and that's what I'm trying to get to, at least. And yeah, and just for the last thing, I wanted to say, I am looking for a fight right now. That's the last thing I will say is I want to fight as soon as possible. Obviously I need to get a little bit healed up. I didn't suffer any damage, but sometimes, even your offense will hurt you. The leg kicks, maybe a grazing punch, might hurt your hands or whatever. But give us a week of just light training, and then I'll be back to seeking fights. So I got a proposition from a lad the day before the fight, before my last fight, to fight in Liverpool on the 17th of May. I'd like to fight in Hexagon on the 2nd of June, one or the other, and then why not? In my own hometown on the 1st of July. That would already be 3 fights in a short amount of time, and hopefully 3 wins. And I wouldn't be happier if that would happen. So yeah. Anyway,
You've got a lot of options. The one in May I know is Cage Lexi. That can get onto you, yeah.
That's him. Yeah, that's who got onto me. So if he's got anybody, who's who's game, and who's my equal, like who's equal to me in the rankings, and make it a proper fight that can benefit somebody, then I'm up for it. And we'll look at it with careful consideration. But you know, uh, I'm here to fight, and I'm here to put on a performance every time. So yeah.
Perfect. I love your attitude. It'd be good to see you on that Liverpool card, because I might be going to it myself.
Good stuff.
There is plenty of options here for fights in Ireland as well, if you were ever interested. But obviously, if you're signed
Very
with
interesting.
if
Very
you're signed with Hexagon and MHGP, I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Thank you so
You know
much for your
what?
time.
Well,
Sorry?
here's the thing. There's a little loophole there. I can fight for any organization that isn't French. Just saying, just putting that out there. If you're
Okay.
not a
Well,
French organization, I can fight. I can fight for you guys. No problem.
perfect. Well, I'll let a couple of promoters know. I'll send your name on this evening
Good
to a
stuff.
couple.
Thank you very
So
much.
if they're looking.
Right,
So thank you
I
very
want
much
it.
for your time. I'm gonna let you go so you can do your
Take
workout
care.
as well before it hits
Thank
12
you.
o'clock. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure doing that. It's the first time I do one of them in English, so I was really trying not to mess it up, or talk too much or talk too little. But look, we'll get better at it.
Don't worry about it. We'll have one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to follow your journey, so I'll interview you before every time you fight, and we can just keep doing this if you're interested.
I'm very interested.
Perfect. Thank you, and have a good evening. All right.